Hello world, this is Jeffrey JGB146 Blake coming to you with another deck profile, this one over Roaring Moon EX. This is one of the EXs from Paradox Rift that people are most excited about, and it's pretty easy to see why. He's our main attacker. As you can see on the screen, his first attack for 2 dark and 1 colorless is Frenzied Gouging, and it will knock out any Pokemon. He just has to do 200 damage to himself. You get 2 to 3 prizes with that knockout. You don't mind taking some self-damage. We've got other things we can do too. That second attack, Calamity Storm, does 100 damage, and will do another 120 if you can discard a Stadium. So that's not too shabby either. Before we get too far into it, I do want to give a shout out to Tricky Gym, because they were the first place that I saw the skeleton that became this list. So, good job Andrew, I appreciate your work, and I hope that I did it justice by building on it. So the next Pokemon that we have in here is Brute Bonnet. He's our only other real attacker. He's a single prize Pokemon, also an ancient Pokemon, which means all of the ancient stuff that helps make Roaring Moon EX work helps him work too. But he has a 2 dark, 1 colorless attack that does 120 damage. Obviously that's lower, but he is a single prize Pokemon. You can stick the tool that we'll go over in a little bit onto him, and he gets the HP boost, the same as Roaring Moon, so it can bump him up to 180 HP, which is not too shabby for a single prize basic Pokemon. Also, when he has that tool on there, it's for reference, it's the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule tool. It makes it so that, like I said, his HP goes up by 60, and it makes it so that he's immune to special conditions. Same again with Roaring Moon. But if you have one on Brute Bonnet, there's an additional effect. He gains the ability Toxic Powder. And that Toxic Powder ability means that he can make both active Pokemon poisoned. Now, if your active Pokemon also has the tool, say it's a Roaring Moon, or even Brute Bonnet himself, that tool prevents them from actually becoming poisoned, but it poisons your enemy. So that means that this Rampaging Hammer for 120 actually will do 130 after the poison kicks in, and if they don't move out of the active, it'll keep stacking up. Similarly, with Roaring Moon, it means that Calamity Storm does 110 plus 120, so you can actually hit 130 there, as long as your opponent is susceptible to special conditions. That becomes pretty relevant because there are a lot of Pokemon that 220 is like an okay number, but 230 is a big number for lots of basics. Next, we're going to play 1 copy of Squawkabilly EX. He's basically in here to draw cards, but there are times that you might want to use that Motivate attack, attach 2 basic energies from your discard to another Pokemon, probably a Roaring Moon. Then we have Greninja, Radiant Greninja I should say, with a Concealed Cards ability, just here to draw cards. Then we have Mew EX. Mew's also in here, just to draw cards. You can play your hand down with this deck pretty easily and end up only having a couple cards, maybe even just 1 card in hand. Finally, we play a Lumineon V to get a supporter. And that's it for Pokemon. It's not a complicated arsenal of different attackers. You're just going for a big attacker and a medium attacker with that poison ability thrown in. Now we'll get into supporters. We play 4 copies of Professor Sada's Vitality. Sada's Vitality attaches up to 2 basic energies to 2 different ancient Pokemon. The energies coming from the discard. Then, once you've attached at least 1 energy that way, we set up 2, you get to draw 3 cards. So this is our card draw and our energy acceleration. Then we have 2 copies of Boss's Orders so that we can choose our targets once we have energy in play. We have 1 copy of Judge for a little bit of disruption, a little bit of card draw sometimes. 1 copy of Iono, a little bit of disruption, a little bit of card draw. And 1 copy of Penny. So Penny's pretty important here, because Roaring Moon, once you have the Ancient Capsule attached, has 290 HP. If you aren't doing the attack that causes him to do 200 damage to himself, 290 is pretty thick, and a lot of times your opponents will just barely whiff KO. They might hit 220, they might hit 250, even 270. But 290 is a bit of a stretch for a lot of Pokemon. So, Penny can come in and just make all that go away. You get the cards back in, you can attach the booster capsule to your next Roaring Moon. It just works brilliantly. So Penny is very important in this deck. I would not cut Penny. Next, we get into items. To help get our Pokemon out, we play 4 copies of Battle VIP. We play 4 Ultra Ball. This will also help us discard energy and discard cards we don't really need so that we can draw with the Mew. We play 4 copies of Earthen Vessel. This helps us to get energy and to discard the energy. And we play 4 copies of Dark Patch, which of course is another way that we can accelerate energy from the discard. Very strong combination here between Professor Sada and Dark Patch. You'll end up playing Squawkabilly the first turn very frequently because you want to get stuff into the discard, then these cards can both pair together to help you get it back. And it's not uncommon to have a Roaring Moon set up on your first attacking turn, and sometimes you can get 2 set up on your first attacking turn. Now then, you have to get them set up on the bench, which means you want to play switch cards, since all of our Pokemon are basics, and escape ropes, in case we want to change our opponent's active as well. To help with finding supporters when you're not wanting to play Lumineon, we have 2 Pokegears, and we have 1 Palpat to get back supporters we've used. Maybe you need 3 bosses this game, maybe you want to use Penny twice, maybe you want an extra chance at getting Professor Sada to come out to play. I've been talking about it pretty frequently, so you know that Ancient Booster Energy Capsule is important. This is the tool, again, that prevents your Pokemon from special conditions affecting them. They will instantly recover from any special condition that is affecting them when you attach it, and like I said, they get an extra 60 hit points. And then finally, our last trainer is 4 copies of Pokestop. This will help you get Dark Energy into the discard, it helps you get to all of your items, and we play quite a few of them, as you can see. And then there's only 1 card left in the deck, 1 type of card, 12 copies of it. We're playing 12 basic Dark Energies. We want to come across these cards fast, we want to come across them often, we want to be able to discard them and get more of them and just get them into the discard so we can get them back into play. For me, 12 has seemed like a great number. I've seen lists that are playing fewer, I've seen 10, I think I've even seen some lists playing 9. I don't feel like you're going to consistently get your acceleration off the way that I want to when you're playing that low. But, you know, to each their own. I've also seen another concept I've seen floating around is playing cross switchers. To help you use items. It gives you more items to draw into with the Pokestops, and it helps give you item-based gusting so you don't necessarily have to play both copies of Boss's Orders. The problem with that, in my mind, is that it kind of goes haywire when you're playing a deck that tends to play down to very few cards in hand most of the time. So, yes, you can get to the cross switchers off of Pokestop, you can just hold on to them, but it's going to inhibit your ability to draw with Mew, which weakens the deck in my opinion. So, to me, I don't really care for the cross switchers. Maybe I'll change my mind down the road, time will tell. But those are the 2 major differences that I've seen that have been in lists that I've otherwise liked. We've also seen lists, some are playing a 1-1 or even a 2-2 or 3-3 line of Darkrai V-Star. And the thing is, I like Darkrai's V-Star ability, but I don't really like his attack in this kind of deck. I think you need more energy, and that gives you less room for the stuff that kind of makes the deck work. I just don't think it's worth it. I've also seen the Galarian Moltres, both the big versions and the little versions. I guess I should say the V and the non-V, the single prize. And again, with both of those, like, you're churning through your deck so much that having energy in hand to play down the baby Moltres is kind of unlikely. And you'd want to be playing a combination of like energy switch cards and stuff with the Moltres V that just it's needlessly complicated. So I prefer to just go with a more streamlined approach to just let the deck do what it wants to do as quickly as it can do it. And I think this is the way. I'm sure that there are changes that need to be made, but I'll have to figure out what those are down the road. For now, this is definitely the direction that I want to take the deck, and hopefully it'll work out for some of you as well. So thank you for tuning in. This has been Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake, and I'll see you next time.